My name is Sarah Thompson, and if you're scrolling through Reddit late at night, looking for those stories that hit you right in the gut, buckle up. This isn't some feel-good tale about family bonds triumphing over adversity. No, this is the raw, unfiltered truth about how my own father, Robert Thompson, a man who preached loyalty above all else, decided to erase me from his legacy because I finally dared to put myself first. After years of being the invisible crutch holding our family together, I hired a lawyer to shatter the chains they'd wrapped around me. And let me tell you, the fallout? It's the kind of drama that keeps you reading until your eyes burn. It all started in a quiet suburb of Chicago, where our house looked picture-perfect from the outside, red brick, white picket fence, the works. But inside, it was a pressure cooker. My sister, Emily, was born with cerebral palsy when I was just 5 years old. She couldn't walk without assistance, her speech was slurred, and she needed help with everything from eating to bathing. Mom, bless her soul, was the primary caregiver until she passed away from breast cancer when I was 12. That's when the weight of the world shifted onto my shoulders. Dad worked long hours as a factory supervisor, coming home exhausted and expecting dinner on the table. Emily fed and bathed, homework done, for both of us. Family first, Sarah, he'd say, his voice like gravel. Emily needs you. My childhood, stolen. While other kids were at sleepovers or soccer practice, I was pushing Emily's wheelchair through the park, missing birthday parties because she had a meltdown, or staying up late to help her with physical therapy exercises. I learned to change diapers before I hit puberty. School dances? Forget it. Prom? I went alone, but only after making sure Emily was settled with a sitter Dad grudgingly paid for. I sacrificed playdates for doctor's appointments, summers for therapy sessions. I was the good sister, the one teachers praised for my maturity. But inside, I was screaming. Resentment bubbled like acid in my stomach, but I buried it deep. After all, Emily didn't choose this life. She was sweet, funny in her own way, with a laugh that could light up a room. I loved her, still do, but love doesn't erase the exhaustion. Dad never saw my sacrifices as anything but my duty. God gave us Emily to teach us compassion. He'd preach over Sunday dinners, his Bible thumping on the table for emphasis. He volunteered at church, donated to disability charities, but at home, it was all on me. When Mom died, he withdrew into his grief, leaving me to pick up the pieces. By high school, I was basically a live-in nurse. I graduated top of my class, but college? Dad laughed it off. We'll take care of Emily if you leave. So I stayed local, commuting to community college for a nursing degree. Ironic, right? All those years of hands-on experience made me a natural. But every dream I had, of traveling, of starting my own life, got shoved aside. Emily's needs came first. Always. Fast forward to my mid-20s. I finally scraped together enough from part-time jobs to move out, landing a gig at a hospital downtown. Freedom tasted like fresh air after being underwater. I visited Emily on weekends, helped with her routines, but I set boundaries. I can't be there every day, Dad. I told him one evening over the phone. His response, silence, then a curt, "You're abandoning your family." Emily, now in her early 20s, was in a group home part-time, but Dad insisted she live with him most days. He could afford professional care. He'd inherited money from his parents, but no. Family takes care of family, was his mantra. He expected me to drop everything, quit my job, and move back in. When I refused, the guilt trips escalated. Calls at midnight. Emily's having a bad day. Where are you? Texts accusing me of selfishness. It wore me down, but I held firm. I started dating, made friends, even took a vacation to Florida. For the first time, I felt alive. Then came the bombshell. Last Christmas, Dad called a family meeting. Just him, me, and Emily at the old house. The air was thick with tension as he slid a folder across the table. "I've updated my will," he announced, his eyes cold. Emily sat there, confused, fiddling with her bracelet. "Sarah, you've chosen your path. You're out. Everything goes to Emily's trust for her care." My heart stopped. The house, the savings, the life insurance gone. Poof. His reasoning? I wasn't committed to Emily anymore. Never mind the decades I'd given. Never mind that I'd been her shadow, her protector. In his eyes, my independence was betrayal. You think you can just walk away, he snarled. After all we've done for you? It was laughable. Mom was gone, and he'd done the bare minimum. I left that house shaking, tears blurring the drive home. Betrayal burned hotter than any resentment I'd felt before. How dare he? I'd given my childhood, my youth, and now this. But as the shock faded, anger turned to resolve. I wasn't going to beg or crawl back. No, I was done being controlled. That night, scrolling Reddit, r/legal advice, r/raised by narcissists, I found stories like mine. Siblings cut out for daring to live. It fueled me. The next day, I hired a lawyer. Her name was Ms. Elena Vargas, a sharp-eyed woman with a no-nonsense vibe and a track record of contesting unfair wills. This smells like undue influence and emotional manipulation, she said after hearing my story. We can fight this. The process was a whirlwind. First, we gathered evidence. Old emails from Dad demanding I quit my job, medical records showing Emily's care needs, and how I'd been the one meeting them for years. Witnesses, teachers, neighbors, even Emily's therapist who remembered me as the little helper. Ms. Vargas explained Illinois law. Wills could be challenged for lack of capacity, fraud, or undue influence. But Dad was sharp as a tack, no dementia there. Our angle? Coercion and unfair exclusion based on unreasonable conditions. He can't condition inheritance on you being a full-time caregiver, she said. That's not how family law works. As we built the case, Dad doubled down. He sent letters through his own lawyer accusing me of greed. Sarah's always been jealous of Emily, one read. Jealous. The word twisted like a knife. Emily called me crying, caught in the middle. Why is Dad so mad? She'd ask, her voice breaking. I reassured her. I wasn't fighting for the money, not really. It was about justice, about breaking free from his puppet strings. But deep down, yeah, the inheritance mattered. It was security, a nest egg after years of scraping by. More than that, it was validation that my sacrifices counted. The tension peaked at the mediation session. Dad sat across from me in a sterile conference room, his face a mask of righteous fury. Ms. Vargas laid out our evidence like a deck of cards. Timelines of my caregiving, financial records showing I'd paid for Emily's extras out of pocket. Mr. Thompson, she said coolly, excluding Sarah isn't just unfair, it's potentially illegal if it's punitive. Dad's lawyer fidgeted, whispering in his ear. Emily wasn't there. We'd spared her the drama. But Dad, he cracked. She left us, he exploded. After everything. I met his gaze. I didn't leave, Dad. I grew up. And you punished me for it. Hours of back and forth later, a settlement emerged. Dad agreed to reinstate me in the will. Half to Emily's trust, half to me. No conditions. In return, I dropped the full contest, avoiding a drawn-out court battle that could drain the estate. But the real win? A no-contact clause for Dad unless through lawyers. No more guilt trips, no more demands. Emily and I could rebuild on our terms. Visits, calls, without a shadow looming. Walking out of that room, I felt lighter than I had in years. The money, nice sure, but the freedom, priceless. Reddit, if you're in a similar hell, don't wait. Hire that lawyer. Fight back. Family isn't about control, it's about respect. And sometimes, to earn it, you have to demand it. As for Dad, last I heard, he's rattling around that big house alone, Emily thriving in her group home. Me, I'm traveling, dating a great guy named Mike, and finally living the life I sacrificed so long for. Turns out, cutting ties can be the kindest cut of all.